Welcome back to the Skid Factory, where work is not continuing on the Hakusuka. We've got a sump, custom made by Matt. We've got axle ends for the rear, all custom made. We've got these beautiful valve covers from Nelson at Hartley's, all ready to go on. The only thing we didn't have, or haven't had, was time, because we've been busy getting our asses kicked by the fair lane, trying to get it ready for an endurance drag racing event which is on tomorrow. So we've got something in the bank for you this time. A while back we went to New Zealand and we talked to Nelson, and he had all the goods on Nissan Vs Toyota V8 engines. He knows everything about them. He knows what's good and what's bad and what costs a lot of money and what doesn't. And we hit him up about it at the time. So let's head back in time, go over to New Zealand and bug Nelson about it.
You're going to do that thing, aren't you?
We're here with Nelson Hartley. Nelson, thanks for having us.
No problem.
Nelson is the proprietor of Hartley Engines and Motorsport. He is a motorsport engine development engineer, so he builds race engines and develops them to make them better. So no better guy to talk to, particularly when it comes to Toyota and Nissan V8 engines, because these guys build them for a speedway application. So they thrash the daylights out of them at 10,000 RPM, and if they break, they make it better, and so it doesn't break. So
Try to.
first we're going to talk about Toyota engines. We're just going to split it up a bit. VVTi and non-VVTi. Nelson has some very strong views on this, and it was very interesting to hear from him. So tell us about how you see it, mate.
Yeah, so straight off the bat, we won't build a non-VVTi engine for a race motor. It's just simply not worth it. It's a liability.
Yep.
And the VVTi head is so much better. So some quick facts that are important to know. The blocks are virtually identical. They bolt in the same engine mounts. The rear flywheel is identical. The exhaust ports are in roughly the same spot, within about 1 millimetre. The centres are the same, and the bolt patterns are the same.
Yep.
On the exhaust. So if a non-VVTi fits in your car, chances are a VVTi will fit in your car with the same exhaust. The valves are bigger standard, so you can go to bigger valves, but you can only go one size bigger in a non-VVTi before you have to put inserts in, where you can go even bigger. They're bigger to start with.
So these are already the same size as an oversized one would be in that.
I think they're bigger than your off-the-shelf oversized valve.
Right. So
I mean, we're flowing 500 horsepower on a standard piston and a standard valve with those, with some porting. The port angle's nicer. The combustion chamber's like significantly nicer. They've got a steel bucket instead of an aluminium bucket, which will fail. Like for our race motors, we have to upgrade the bucket.
Yep.
The standard retainer's pretty nice. We still put titanium ones in for our high-end applications, but we make billet cams for those. We don't make billet cams for these. The reason is we don't see any point in making them for these. The scissor gears that spread the load between the two cams is at the front of the head, so there's equal load on both cams. The non-VVTi head has the scissor gears in the centre, so if you're putting some decent valve springs in it and pulling some revs, all the load is going through the first half of the inlet cam.
Okay.
So it has a tendency to break.
Breakages are going to happen, cool.
It's a lot of people think that the VVTi is adding complexity. We make a kit that's less than $200 that gets rid of that.
To delete the VVTi function,
what you spend on that, you save by not having to spend it on other things to make the non-VVTi engine better.
Awesome. So conrods is the only strength difference in a standard engine?
I don't read a lot of forums, to be honest, but from what I've heard from other people when I've said, hey, why don't you use a VVTi engine, they've said, oh, but the conrods aren't as strong. Really, for all the effort, if you're putting a like a Toyota 1UZ in your car and you're wanting to push it hard, really you should be putting some better conrods in it anyway, and you should be putting some better valve springs in.
Yeah.
So both those things are redundant. Like here's a standard VVTi piston. Yeah, it's a standard piston, but it's not a bad looking piston.
Yeah.
We've got a little CNC program where we make the valve pockets bigger so we can put some bigger lift in it. But I mean, we
still use that in a budget motorsport application.
So in our entry level super stock engine, we use a standard piston with a forged conrod, and I mean they're making 500 horsepower and pulling 8,500 RPM. and the piston doesn't fail. Something else will fail before this
Yeah,
does.
cool.
Yeah, we go to a forged piston for the higher end stuff, but it's to me it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. All right. Maybe let's talk about Nissan V8s for a sec, and then we'll compare.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at some Nissan V8 heads. This is a VH41, early sort of, come out in probably the
90s,
early mid-90s. These are a pretty good engine. This is the VK head, VK56. Better engine. Who'd have
Much
thought?
better engine. Very nice engine, the VK56. So for many years we used the VH41 as our go-to engine, simply because the VK56 either hadn't been made by Nissan or just wasn't available. The 41 served its purpose for a long time.
Yep.
It is on the heavy side. It's only 4.1 litre, although the Toyota is only 4 litre. The 56 being 5.6 litre gives you a massive advantage straight off the bat. It's got bigger ports, bigger valves. The cam chain assembly is actually very nice, although
Yep.
it's not bad in the 41. You've got one chain per bank versus 2 chains per bank,
Yep.
less failure points. A solid lifter, much like the Toyota,
Yeah.
which is nice. You can actually get a fairly aggressive cam on that. We can do a lot with it. Whereas the 41 had the
It's like an SR20 style.
same, very much like an Evo. It's not unlike your old Pinto motor, to be
Yeah.
honest, just smaller. These are stronger and lighter. They're actually quite a lot lighter
Yeah.
than the 41.
So when you say, oh, it's 5.6 litre, you're actually not running the engine at 5.6 litre. It's only 4 litre because you're de-stroking the engine significantly. But the advantage is still that it was designed for an engine that's displacing
Yes.
5.6
So-
litres,
and-
so
and the-
everything is larger.
In the case of our Speedway application, which isn't like, we've got these out to over 6.2 litre, I think, is the biggest one we've built. Maybe a little bigger. I'd have to check the maths.
Is that like for a jet boat or something?
Yeah, for a twin turbo jet boat, and we're about to put one in a sprint car as well, which is going to be pretty wild. I mean, we comfortably rev these to over 10,000 RPM, and there is no way in hell that will ever go.
Yeah,
back.
okay.
It'll just throw the amount of them that we've tried to and flicked rockers out through the
Yeah.
traffic cover,
Nice.
dodged it in the dyno room.
It really is an SR20.
Yeah, same thing. So yeah, we actually go slightly bigger in the bore with the 56 and then make our own crank and really shorten the stroke. The benefit there is we've got a massive cylinder, which means we can really get the air flowing out around the valve. It's not as shrouded.
Yeah.
Nice short stroke means it's free revving. I hear stories all the time about how a longer stroke and a smaller bore gives you more torque. Never seen it. Not on a modern engine.
Yeah.
Maybe on your old
2-valve.
Chrysler or
Yeah.
Hemi or Chev that you had in 1975. Yeah, okay. This longer stroke engine might have had more torque. We're now talking engines with like proper engine dynamics. Look, when you look at the VK56, you pull the block to bits. First time we looked at one, we would swear it was made for a motorsport application. It did not look like a truck engine.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stuff on the outside was a bit ugly, but by the time we cut back everything and made
Yeah.
our own parts, it's a beautiful engine.
Cool.
They really are cool.
So block-wise, we obviously don't have 2 blocks in front of us. Is there any great difference in block strength or anything like that?
The VK56 has a lot, like the 41 had a lot of webbing in it as well, but it was quite big, fat, chunky webs. The 56 is a bit more petite, a bit nicer. It actually looks like a race motor.
Yeah.
There's some floating around the workshop, they do. The other benefit is, like, we had 2 brand new blocks arrive from America last week. Like, brand new from
So you
Nissan.
can just buy new parts from
Yeah,
them because
like-
they're still a current engine.
They are still a current engine. I mean, we make our own cylinder heads for certain applications. Sometimes it's a big job. We could definitely make our own block within with the facilities we got. But to be honest, if we were building our own V8, I'd probably just use a brand new Nissan block
Yeah.
and then make everything around it because it's that good.
Okay, so what about Nissan versus Toyota in the block?
So it comes down to it comes down to problem solution. In the case of the super stock engine, which is our core speedway thing here, the 56 is a massive cut above everything else.
Yeah.
Then it's the Toyota 1UZ VV2i. Then the Nissan VH41, and if you're brave, you'd use a Toyota.
An old
An
one.
old Toyota, which a lot of people do, and they're very competitive, but the money invested to get it to the same level as the 41 or the
So they'd rather
VV2i.
stick with something that they know and already have than
Yeah,
go,
and they've probably already
let's
outlaid
move.
X amount of cash over
Yeah.
so many years. But if you're starting from scratch, it's either a Toyota 1UZ VV2i or a VK56. The 1UZ is a much lighter engine. Like, we're
Yeah.
talking 15 kgs. But and for a street car, the 56, I mean, 15 kgs isn't the end of the world. It's a 5.6 litre straight off the bat.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we're turning them to over 10,000 RPM in race trim. So they're pretty, you know, you've got a pretty big window of opportunity there.
This is interesting. Nissan actually wins the engine race in the V8 department.
To be quite clear, I'm not, I have no preference over any car manufacturer. Like, I'm an engineer first, car guy second, so I don't love Hondas or Nissans or Toyotas. I like...
You're just looking at the design.
Yeah, a very, very pragmatic view on it. We looked at the options and went, well, this is going to be better for our customers. And most of our customers, we're putting engines in cars that don't represent a Nissan or a Toyota anyway, so they just want the best solution.
Yeah, that's what's fascinating about the speedway category is that the vehicle itself doesn't look like anything. It just looks like this thing that's...
It's professional demolition building, it's absolutely meant... Like, we're
with
building...
500-600 horsepower engines.
Yep, and they're driving them into each other at full noise.
It's
quite frightening. Yeah, it's fun. It's a cool sport. It's interesting to watch.
So VK56 is the gun. I reckon that we probably need to do something with one then. Decision made. Thanks for the chat, mate. It was awesome to talk.
Yeah, no problem.
And thanks for letting out what's in your head that you've learnt via experience.
I will say there's definitely a lot more to it, but to encapsulate everything in a short period, it's quite a big essay that needs to be written and explained. But I mean, we've gone through the motions, and that's
awesome.
Where we're at.
Thanks for the knowledge.
Yeah, no problem.
First, we've just dipped our toe into a pretty big topic there. Might set the comment section on fire. A bit of a win for Nissan for a change, so that's pretty good. Nelson and the team here have been designing awesome parts like this that work for many years now. Originally just for use in their own motorsport engines, but you can actually buy this stuff from them as of now. So if you have a Toyota V12 and you want some ITBs, or you have a Titan and you want your carburetor out the bonnet, then get onto their socials, get onto their website and have a look. And also you might see some really cool updates on maybe turbo V12s or that sort of thing, and maybe even the odd Honda. That's all we got for you today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Have you heard anything like that before or not?
What?
I said, have you heard anything like that before?
Not this week. Sorry, I can't. My eyes are watering. No, that was cool. Really cool. I hope you enjoyed those knowledge bombs dropped by Nelson. If you want to tell us which you prefer, just jump into that comments section and start smashing your keyboard. Everyone gets an opinion around here, even if you're wrong.
You're wrong!
As you probably noticed, you can see my second and third chins, and there's a good reason for that. It's because we are participating in Movember, which is a charity event in support of men's mental health and other things. So all we've got to do is shave off our beards, etc., and then let you see our chin collection. And you just got to donate for the privilege. And at the end of the month, you can get to see which of us can grow a better moustache. And I think that's probably going to be me, but we'll see.
It's definitely going to be you. There's no doubt about that.
We'll see.
But I'm also doing a funky old man bald chrome dome on.
I already have that.
Yeah, well, I don't know, so it's going to be even funnier.
Yeah, it's true that. But you've already got that weird, like, bit where it looks like you're bald, but it's actually the grey rim.
Yeah.
It's not Grey-vember. You would win that.
Yeah. Okay, so Alan, is there time in your schedule for a Hakusuka episode next week?
Next week we will have a Hakusuka episode, because we've got all that gear there and we've got a bit of an idea, so we're going to get stuck into it.
Okay,
These
this
sevens.
outtake is longer than the episode. Thanks for watching. See you later.
This outtake is longer than the episode. Thanks for watching. See you next week. And we will have Hakusuka next week.